for last. Okay.
So whenever you want to resume, yeah.
I'll call this meeting back to order, and we will take up the order of business with item number 4, approval of minutes. We just received the minutes from the August 24th meeting. I will move acceptance.
Oh, Dr. Greg.
Second.
All in favor?
Wait,
Sorry?
just some discussion on this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
We had a little bit of confusion, and I don't know how you guys want to address this in the minutes, but we had discussion about Hannah Trueblood. We talked about the appearances, and then later in the meeting, we had, and I think at the time, we had noted that Hannah had the $20 fine. I do recall that there was a motion and a second, and then later in the meeting, because I was having problems with technology getting things to come up on the notices, Hannah actually didn't receive the notice, and we came back later in the meeting, and it was noted that I was going to send her out new notice for today to come back. She was the one that was the holdover causing us to bring her back today. So I don't know if you guys want to do anything to amend the minute meetings to reflect that in any way, or leave it as it stands, or what your thoughts are on that. So you'll see.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
we suggested that it be reissued,
right. Uh-huh.
and that happened.
Well, in terms of
Going forward.
what the ultimate decision of the board was to reissue notice to Hannah Trueblood in terms of making sure she got notice of the meeting, and we were directed to bring her back as opposed to fining her the $20. There's an update on that since the meeting, but at this point, this is just in terms of ensuring that the minutes are reflecting the board's ultimate decision on Hannah Trueblood.
Says we were going to send her notice again, right, in the minutes here,
Right,
and that's what we did.
right.
So the notice was resent since this meeting.
Well, my comment is about how you want the minutes to reflect the board's ultimate decision. The decision was not necessarily to go with the fine, but rather later in the meeting, the ultimate decision of the board was to.
But the fine is there already automatically by operation of law. So that's already out there.
The fine.
Even with us not taking any action. And then there's a notation in here that there was additional notice that was going to be sent to her. So
Right.
I mean, I'm one of 5, but from my perspective, I think it's consistent with the action that we took.
I think the same.
The only thing that it was a concern is that I think we rescind, it says Chittister motions the fine for $20 to stand. That motion passed. We actually came back on that decision to adjust that decision in light of the fact that she didn't get notice to be present before the board. So yes, you're correct that was the amount of the fine. But before we could fine her, she needed to get notice and come before the board.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, from my end of things, I mean, this is supposed to be a general summary of the proceedings that
Okay.
occurred. I think it's sufficient. I don't know that there's a need to amend it.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second then, Paul? Did we just
Yes.
roll call to pass those?
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. Clerk report.
Oh, let's see. Jessica asked me to let everybody know that the vote bus will be out at the Hebron Fall Fest this weekend. In the last several weekends, they have gone a lot of places. They've been to Bacon Fest in Portage. They've been here at the Valparaiso Market. They were at the European Market in Chesterton. Lots of opportunities, a lot of voter registration drives. Lots of things going on. So they've been out quite a bit. Early vote starts October 23rd. Voter registration ends October 10th. And I think that's about it, unless Sunday has something else to add that I missed where the vote bus has been.
No, that's, we'll be there at the Humor Fall Fest at that, I would say around Alea Park.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how to say it. I'm right there with you and I live there.
From 11 to 2 tomorrow. So I think nobody needs to register. That's our last registration right before voter registration ends. So the ballots have started going out. Absentee by mail started. We've got issued 162 ballots already. About 52 of applications that are outstanding to still come back to us for ballots so far. So they have till the 26th of October at 11:59 p.m. to get their application to vote by mail. And our poll workers are full. Knock on wood.
Yay.
So we're still always taking names because we lose them every day.
And scheduling for training, has any of that gone on yet?
That's going out today.
Going out today? Do you have some dates or?
There's a whole week of different dates. And
Oh, okay.
set up.
Lots of opportunity then. Okay. Okay, any questions for either the clerk or the director? Campaign finance reports.
Okay, you have, before you, you have two waivers of hearing and just an agreement to go ahead and pay the fine. So one of those that we just mentioned was Hannah Trueblood. And before we even send out notice to have her come back, she had already taken care of the fine. And so she has, sorry, I take that back. She's paid her fine. We just need to get a waiver. So that one will come to you next month. Sorry about that. You do have a waiver on Mike Wallace as well as Drew Wanger. So they went ahead and just paid the fine, each one of them paying a fine of $100. So if you want to take a motion on each one of those separately and then go ahead and have the board to execute that, you can do that on these.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking for the names of.
the
Okay, we
first-
don't have these.
Yep.
I don't have.
Yep. No,
Okay.
you don't have those, so we'll take care of what you have in front of you.
Okay. So the first one will be to motion acceptance of voluntary payment agreement and waiver of hearing before the election board on behalf of Mike Wallace and the committee to elect Drew for Valpo, old and new. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, signature. And any one of the board members.
Sunday, I think there was one other one that you and I didn't get straight on. That's from June, and that is Jim Tunn. Did he come in and just pay the $700 fine? Okay, because we did not, I don't think we got a waiver on him either.
Yes, we do have a.
We have a waiver on him?
Yeah, he has.
Okay. Okay. I probably wouldn't get the waiver then.
No, you need to ask for Drew and Hannah and Mike.
Yeah, okay, that'll take,
Down and grab it so you guys can, get it out, but that's for the next stuff.
we can do that, we can do that. Because I think that was the other one that I was, and John Cannon too. Okay, so then the next one you have in front of you is accepting the findings and conclusion for Lance Raphael. He came before the board in June. I've got a summary then of the findings on that at the last paragraph before the orders on the second page, and this is just one that you need to review and approve.
Okay, so does, everybody's got this one?
Has the fine been paid? Do we know that? Just curious.
You have to wait till Sunday comes back. I believe
Okay.
so,
On Lance?
on Lance. You know, Kathy? Okay.
No, I don't have the spreadsheet. I think
Okay.
Can we take care of any of these?
I think-
prior
Yeah,
to
I was just
coming
curious
back?
as to the status. I didn't want to hold
Yeah.
up the voting on these, Paul. We can proceed forward.
Okay.
All right, so the pertinent paragraph is, the paragraph on the second page above, orders the board, heard evidence, blah, blah, blah. $100 was the reduction, to pay $100. That is the finding and the conclusions that we're gonna confirm was paid or unpaid, but that is our finding. Motion to accept,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed?
Okay. I'm going to take the next one, Paul.
All right, I have here, legal findings and conclusions for Jill Stryker. The board heard the evidence, and upon the proper motion, the board unanimously determined to reduce the fine to $100, provided the committee is closed within 2 weeks. Can we confirm that either? Did her campaign get closed?
can't. Sunday
Okay.
has the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Not
Well,
just
Okay.
you can hold that one aside and then go to the next one until Sunday returns.
All right, next one up is Gina Geisthurst. Findings and conclusions. The board unanimously determined to reduce the fine to $50 from $400. Motion to accept the findings and conclusions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Shelby Nashville.
Yeah, Well, let's go with, you got it. All right, let's go with Moderna.
All right, next up, we have finding and conclusions for Barbara Domer. Upon proper motion and second, the board unanimously agreed that the fine of $50 would remain. Motion to accept finding and conclusions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey, Sunday, do you know if Lance Raphael has paid his fine?
The only one that we have outstanding is New Hampshire.
Okay,
Everything else was checked off.
great.
Okay, so does it matter who we take?
No, I would go ahead with Shelley Mashburn and we'll take, yeah, either one of those, fine.
All right, next in line is findings and conclusions relative Jill Stryker. She agreed to disband her committee. Upon proper motion, the board unanimously determined to reduce the fine to $100, provided that the committee is closed within 2 weeks. That happened Sunday? Jill Stryker is closed? I'm going to assume that it got closed and moved this thing. All right, I'm gonna move acceptance of findings and conclusions on Jill Stryker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes, she is closed.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, yes. Mhm.
All right, next in line is findings and conclusions. Shelby Mashburn. Proper motion was made and seconded. The board unanimously agreed that the fine would be reduced to $100. That was from a standing $1,000 fine. I'll motion to accept the findings and conclusions as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now we'll take this one. She was the one that we, go ahead and I'll explain that one.
All right, finding and conclusions for Pamela Schroeder. Madam Counsel, you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, this was the one that in June, when we took this up, we noted that she had received notice, timely notice to be present. She had received her notice on June the 12th. It actually got sent out on June the 9th. The date of The proceeding before you was June 22nd. There was a decision to default her for the $1,000. And that is the proposed findings before you. Once adopted, then I will send this off to her. I don't know, have you, Cindy, has there been any further contact with her at all?
Just what I had told you, that she came in the office and was upset, she gave her your information, that she contacted you. You said you did not hear from her, so.
How recent was that, Sunday? Okay. So she's aware of these proceedings then?
Of this,
I mean, if she's coming into your office upset, she's aware of the fact that we've taken.
that she signed for the.
Okay.
It's her signature on the, she signed for on the 6/12 certified letter, so.
Okay.
She was aware of the June 22nd meeting.
So based on the hearing, this board unanimously determined to uphold the total fine, $1,000, and nothing has changed since the board took that action.
She's not paid, she's not waived.
I move to accept the findings and conclusions as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, and then we have two more waivers to approve. These go back, these two waivers that you have before you were waivers from the round that we did in June. And so we just have got to approve the waivers. One is for John Cannon. He came in and paid the fine of $200. The other one was for James Tunn, who came in and paid the fine of $700 and waived the hearing.
Okay, so we have two voluntary payment agreements before the board, James Ton and John Cannon. I move both of them acceptance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just as a point of information to the board,
This is for both? Yes. Okay.
I happened to sit in on a meeting with the Lake County Election Board recently, and they've come up with somewhat of a system of keeping track of people who have not turned in campaign finance reports, so that that information goes to the board to help the board to determine how to look at fining folks. And they will actually put it on a scale, so if you're a repeat offender, there's not as much of a reduction of the fine. So that is, a consideration. And if the board is interested in something like that, Jessica and I could sit down and talk about it a little bit more. The other thing that the Lake County Board does is that if people submit a letter in advance of the meeting, saying that they're apologize, they also take that into consideration as well. The other piece of information that they will get before the board is how much money is sitting in the campaign finance account. So that you would, we have folks that come before you and they, the fine is what the fine is, but one of the things that the board looks at is how much money is reported as being remaining in their campaign finance account at that time. I don't know if that is a piece of information that the board would like to have or not have when looking at these matters that are coming before the board.
Why would it matter how much money they have in their account? Shouldn't they be the same?
Yeah.
Why would it matter how much money they have? They should all be treated the same. Whether you're late 10 days or if you're late 10 days, it doesn't matter whether you have no money in your campaign finance account, whether you have 10,000. Both of them are late 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Same amount that, you know what I mean? Like they should be treated the same. Just because one is better fundraiser doesn't mean that they should get fined versus somebody that doesn't spend any money.
Yeah. And that's just how they look at that over there. In addition to the fact that they look at how frequently people are coming in front of them. They also look at the fact that whether or not folks are coming in being understanding the rules and being apologetic for missing the rules, and that letter gets weighted as well. That prior contact.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that even this board, when it looked at some of the fines we've assessed in the past, some of those fines have been sort of agreed upon based on what we understand how good a machine that particular candidate actually has and well should have known what the deadlines are, right? So one indication of how good an operation is going on there is what does the bank account look like, and should someone have understood the recording or reporting requirements? So it's just one factor, you know, we're looking at lots of stuff when we look at determinations, I guess. I think, you know, my perspective is we're closer now than we've ever been to being consistent with how we approach this stuff. We're far from perfect. Any tool that would help us be even more consistent, I certainly wouldn't say no to. I would take a look at the stuff.
I agree a little bit with Sunday though too. Just, you know, with the city and town elections right now, these candidates aren't necessarily having huge dollar amounts in their campaign finance accounts, where during the larger elections, they're getting contributions from corporations and quite a bit of money. So to weigh it on what they have in their account doesn't seem quite balanced either.
The only,
I feel like everybody should be treated fairly.
I agree.
Yeah.
well, keep in mind that the statute is not, the statute really is whether or not it's an undue hardship on the candidate. That's your standard. Which is different than saying treat everybody the same, but it is whether or not it's, you know, the board has to find that there is, for some reason, an undue hardship.
So that's just a populated screen? That would be like a software program where we could ask in certain elections to populate that one and in other cycles not, or it would be across the board?
They,
Has to be crossed.
yeah,
Okay.
they have it in a spreadsheet, and they have, it's a very, you know, they've got it in a spreadsheet, and I've had some preliminary discussion with Jessica about that, and just said, you know, is that something that might be a valuable tool or not? Then I thought at some point, if the board has some interest in that, I can work with a little bit more with Jessica and the directors, whether or not, you know, that might be helpful.
I think maybe further that discussion when Jessica's available amongst you all, and then come back to us again. Does that sound fair?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds interesting. I'm just not, you know,
Well, we already have a track of who was late or all of that stuff, so we don't have their monetary amounts that they're paying on there. We keep track of, okay, this person was late in 21 annual, this person was late. in
Right.
Primary, have that tracking stuff already.
So really, this is a question about, do we want to see the money every time?
Well, but I think,
Whatever else they
yeah.
have, we don't know what else they
Yeah.
You might have other
Okay.
things on there.
but I think the other piece of that is getting the information to the board for the board to review and it, you know, and have that for you in a nice laid out manner.
I mean, my take on it is I like the idea of having a spreadsheet like that. I like having the information, including the amount of money in their campaign. I mean, again, being aware of that is different than making a decision based off of it.
Yeah.
So we're just saying that I think that we would want some visibility into that may be
Another
helpful.
data point.
Yeah, in the decision-making process. So, yeah, I would support that.
Okay, let me kind of see what I could do to refine a little bit of that with Jessica and the directors and just, maybe we can,
And certainly to the extent that there's aspects of that are onerous, difficult, I mean, then let's have a conversation about it. I mean, we're not, you know, here making a decision today. I think there's a general willingness to move forward along these lines, so.
Okay, are we finished already with campaign finance reports?
when's our next round? Sunday? It's coming up?
October 20th is the next report at noon, is the next report.
What day?
Posting the 13th, reports due that
Monica, not to prolong the conversation about the campaign finance reports, but did you get any feedback from Lake County when they have circumstances in which they impose a fine and a candidate doesn't pay, what steps
Yes.
they take to collect those amounts?
Yeah, that was part of my conversation too, is then they turn it over to collections.
Okay. A third-party collection agency handles that? Is that how they address it?
They don't necessarily do it. I think it sounds like it goes into the Lake County process for collections.
Okay.
So, sorry?
They take it slow.
Yes, right.
Do we need to do anything as it relates to
I
that?
think that there is some opportunities for us to look at that kind of a system sometime very soon.
Okay.
We have one outstanding fine, correct, that we don't really know how to
That
deal
is
with?
correct. That is correct. And for that one fine,
Well, we have two now with Pamela Schroeder.
right.
Presumably.
Today's
yeah.
work,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
With Josh Gent, I sent the findings to him, or not Josh Gent, sorry,
Jack.
Jack Gent. I sent the findings to him, and he never picked up his certified mail. So I sent it out again. This time, I think it was UPS to confirm delivery. I can report back to the board on that next month, as well as what steps that we can take with regard to that. So I am fairly certain at this time, but I can do a more specific report next month.
Okay.
He has actually received those findings.
All right, next on the agenda, item 8, election 2023 update.
I'm going to turn it over to Sunday because I think we kind of covered everything underneath the clerk and the director's report.
You guys are just so efficient.
The bus is gonna be out. The mobile voting also starts for the satellite voting. We're going to the Loop gas station, Family Express, the Couts Library, and Jamestown Apartments again this year, and all of that.
I know this is some inside game stuff, but it's loosely related to campaigns. Is there any movement at all at replacing
Yes.
lost? Yeah, so things are moving forward there,
Yes,
hopefully in time for November?
yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Fingers crossed.
Yes,
Crossed.
thank you for that.
We have leaks.
Sunday will be the next one that needs a vacation.
Okay. We'll open the floor to public comment. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Like a root canal. Yeah. Had more contention. Where is it?